Violence over Khalistan pushed Indira Gandhi to despair. She had written that year itself,
"If I die a violent death, the violence will be in the thought of my assassin, not in my dying."
That year she acquiesced in a decision almost as if she knew it would cost her life. Bhindranwale and his supporters had made the Golden Temple, holiest of Sikh shrines, their heavily armed fortress. On the night of June 5th, the Indian Army attacked the Golden Temple. Operation Bluestar was launched. When the last gun fell silent, Bhindranwale lay dead, but so were over 300 commandos. More than 500 pilgrims were killed in the crossfire. 300 bullet holes riddled the Harmandir Sahib, and the Akal Takht was badly damaged.
The general, who was an associate of Bhindranwale, was a very clever military officer, and so when the army was sent in, they found that they came up against a full-scale, properly planned defensive operation.
Bluestar was a monumental mistake, symbolic perhaps of the last years of Indira Gandhi's prime ministership, when she seemed to lose her famous self-belief and political shrewdness. That year her speeches had begun to sound almost prophetic about her own looming death.
जब मेरी जान जाएगी तो मैं कह सकती हूँ कि एक-एक खून का खतरा जितना मेरा है, वो एक-एक खून एक भारत को जीवित करेगा, भारत को मजबूती देगा.
She had returned to power in 1980, but victory was followed by personal tragedy. On 23rd June 1980, her son and the one person whom she had grown to implicitly trust, Sanjay Gandhi, was killed in an air crash. By now she trusted no one but her own family and turned to her other son, Rajiv, and daughter-in-law Sonia for comfort. She would stay on as Prime Minister, but the spark was gone. The fire was spent. She looked as if she had compromised too much and had now lost the heart to carry on fighting.
By that time, Indira was a very insecure and somewhat paranoid person, and the only people she could trust were her own immediate family, which is why after Sanjay's death, she inducted Rajiv into politics.
Ironically, it was Sanjay who was responsible for Indira's darkest moment and the darkest hour for Indian democracy, the declaration of internal emergency in June 1975. The High Court ruling had held her guilty of electoral malpractices, and she was about to be unseated as Prime Minister. Sanjay, who was by now her chief confidant, would have none of it. Instead of respecting the Allahabad High Court judgment, Mrs. Gandhi turned her back on democracy, convinced that this was the only way to ensure her own political survival. Her political opponents were jailed, the media was muzzled. The daughter of India's original democrat, Jawaharlal Nehru, became India's great dictator.
For the first 6 months, she thought she had done the right thing to bring discipline to the country. But I remember she had developed a great deal of depression on that, and Jiddu Krishnamurti was the one who used to give her solace, and she used to break down crying before him.